Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get the delight of hanging out with my friend Jeffrey Hawthorne. Jeffrey is the VP of Sales at Workplace Resource Commercial Furniture. An incredible man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Johnny. I'm grateful to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting to know you. So we're going to get right into the deep end. Tell us what you're passionate about.
I think largely when I'm thinking about this question, the word that keeps popping up in my head is service, particularly service as a differentiator.
Yeah.
And I love that we can even have this conversation this morning because I think for me, service is one of the ways that when I think about like my own faith and my own journey and just kind of looking into, how that's demonstrated through scripture, I think service is one of the ways that we can quickly identify and resonate with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? And
Yeah.
in their work in our lives and in mine personally. And so service as a differentiator is significant
Yeah.
on the faith side. And then I think just even in the work, the personal, just like life and work and how all of life kind of coalesces together. Service has always been just something that has reigned pretty heavy for me as a call out or a desire in my own heart, just to make sure that my mind's in the right spot, my heart's in the right place, and
Yep.
I'm going at things with the right motive, if you will. And
Yeah.
so service has just been the thing that I've always kind of the one word for my particular passion in life. So yeah.
Yes. All right. So you have a passion for service. And then you talked quite a bit about the motive. So tell us a little bit about how the motive and for service is important to be in hand with the passion for service.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's easy. I think it's easy in society today and just in world today to kind of get caught up in like all of the things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I work in the sales world, and
Yep.
it could be really easy to get caught up in the commission structure or,
Yeah.
chasing the next big deal because
Mm-hmm.
it's the best payout or, fill in the blank, right? Like the world gives us plenty of things to chase after.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, service is it's a grounding motive. I have to walk in if service, I'll say it this way, if I'm truly passionate about service, then I have to walk into my customer's office, um, fully open to what I'm there to do for them and not for me. Right. And
Yes.
so,
Yes. Yes.
I think, that's where, especially like in a for-profit sales world where it's about making money, I love being the one that is really more so about taking care of my customers, and
Right.
service is kind of that grounding motive, if you will. Um, yeah, does that help answer that
It
question?
helps a lot.
You know, s- so I grew up I'm the oldest of nine kids. And so, yeah. So, and I grew up, my dad worked construction, owns a construction company. And so I started working with him at a very, very young age. My parents were also fairly involved in local church ministry. They, for probably about like 3 or 4 years, ran this children's or youth program in our church, and so I got to kind of be around that and see that we weren't money making family by any stretch of the imagination. It was fairly hand to mouth for the longest time, as I
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah.
But my dad, I can tell you what my dad and mom were really good at, and it was, finding places to serve, leaning into, in fact, we took losses on jobs left and right, all for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
serving people.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, my parents are really big in hospitality. They love having people over to their house and entertaining people, not because they have the most opulent home. They
Yeah.
don't. And
Yeah.
not because they've got a ton of resources that to give. They don't. But
Yeah.
what they do have is time and the ability to see people where they're at
Yes.
and understand and get curious about their needs and then do their best to meet them. And I just experienced that through life as they did that. God
Yeah.
continued to bless and give them favor in areas. And again, we didn't have a lot, but we never wanted for anything,
Yeah.
really, because of their faithfulness in serving people. And so I've just seen it demonstrated in my own life, and I
Yeah.
just believe it to be the thing that keeps me with the right heart posture when I walk into a customer's office or when I come upon a new opportunity. When I engage people for the sake of understanding who they are and
Hmm.
the desire to serve them, man, we get a better outcome. We just
Yep.
do.
Yep. Yep. You light up when you talk about your parents. Like there's a joy,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit more about, you know, how much of this passion and philosophy of life you got from your parents and maybe specifically your dad working with him on the construction site. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a great question. I haven't put a ton of thought into it.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was very blessed to be able to get to learn about work ethic and what it means. I think so. My number one value personally is integrity,
Yeah.
and I learned that from my dad on the job site.
Yeah.
That man, he had all kinds of opportunities to cut corners, to make maybe an extra buck or to get the extra deal, but he was committed to, again, this idea of service, but more so being who he said he was going to be and doing what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
To probably a fault even. Like I
Yeah.
distinctly remember, like there were jobs that we took on that we probably at the, like, not probably, for sure, at the end we lost money. We would pay for
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
bathroom renovation or that
Yeah.
kitchen
Yeah.
renovation. But my dad, he would uh write the bid, and let's just say it was to renovate this bathroom. And so he would like write out line by line what he was going to do and what it was going to cost the customer for him to do it. And then we'd get into it, right? We go into contract, we get into it, and we demo the bathroom, only to find that, like, you take out the flooring and there are joists that are completely, like, almost rotted through. And now there's a
Yeah.
bunch of repair work that has to happen before he can even get to the work that he was on the contract to do.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, he felt like, well, I told him I was going to do this. And
Yeah.
so I got to take the hit here
Yeah.
to go ahead and fix this. And in today's world, we would all just call that like a change order, right? We'd go
Yeah.
back to the
Yeah.
customer and we'd go, hey, this is an unexpected. We didn't bid
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
If you want this, like, for this work to proceed, here's a change order. Here's what it's going to cost, and here's what and here's what you're going to have to pay for us to go ahead and do this to get to back to what we are in the contract for. But in his world, his world, and in his mind, he just said, this is what I said I was going to do. And so I'm going to do that. And now it's going to cost me.
Yeah.
And so, again, kind of
Yeah.
maybe to a fault, but he was
Yeah.
always who he said he was going to be, and he always did what he said he was going to do. And so for me, watching that and experiencing that, I we all have our experiences with our families and our parents, good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent, wherever you find yourself on the spectrum. But, those are things that, we see these things growing up, and they're demonstrated for us. And for me, I saw this demonstrated. And then I have to go through and have to wrestle with it. And I remember
Yeah.
being younger and wrestling through, like, okay, well, what does this actually mean? What does this actually look like? I don't think that integrity means that my dad should have been taking a loss on these jobs.
Yeah.
But again, I saw such an extreme of that demonstrated
Yeah.
that it gave me the space to be able to figure that out for myself
Yes.
and to wrestle with that. And then, and I've also, I'm probably more on the other side of the extreme, just personality wise, where I would say, like, this is what I said I was going to do. So anything beyond that, I'm not going the extra mile.
Yeah.
And, that's the other extreme of that spectrum. And so, having experienced that in life, with my dad, and then also having experiences in life where I've been a little bit more like, more of that like black and white. There's no gray. This is what's on paper, so that's what we're managed to, and experiencing, hurt and struggle and difficulty on that side of the extreme. I find myself in this world, sitting in this sweet spot where integrity is my number one value now. And it's not a black and white thing, but it is like, in this moment, in this situation, what does it look like to always do what's right, and to be who I say I'm gonna be, and to do what I say I'm gonna do in this moment. And that might look different tomorrow when I'm in a different moment, but it's a constant wrestling with that. And I think that for me, is something that I'm really grateful for, for those early on experiences with my dad on the job site. We wouldn't have a relationship if it wouldn't have been for the job site, because that man was working back in those days. He's working 6 to 7 days a week. He took 2 days off a year, and that was Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
And he just had to work because he had 11 mouths to feed, including his own.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I wouldn't have much of a relationship with my dad if it wasn't for the job site.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for those days. Yeah.
Man, the weight that brother was carrying.
Yeah.
Were you ever able to see that on him?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny today. I think, my dad I think he's going to be 68 this year. I think that man could still whoop my rear end, I mean, he's just gotta, he's not, and if you look at the two of us standing next to each other, he's not like a physically fit person. I work out 3 to 4 days a week in the gym. My dad does not.
Yeah.
And he does not have the healthiest, but he's just got this body that is like, he's been huffing shingles up ladders on 2-3 story houses for years, and pouring concrete and doing this, that, and the other. He just got this. And so, I saw a tire, I saw tired on him, which made sense, right? I mean, I can't think of a Sunday morning where we weren't sitting in church and I wasn't looking down the row and seeing my dad nod off, right? And the man can't sit in a chair. He can't sit in a chair without starting to nod off, and because he's always going. But I never, what I never missed, or maybe I'll say it this way. He always had a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Not once did I ever hear my dad complain. Not once.
Man.
Not once.
What a testimony.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Cool to think about.
Nah, he sounds like a great man.
Yeah, he's good. He's actually my stepfather. He came around when I was 9 months old. My real father didn't want anything to do with me when he found out my mom was pregnant. I've never even seen a picture of that man, but my stepdad's been around. He's always been dad. I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
He's got a different last name than I do. I carry my mom's maiden name.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was about 16 years old, he got in the truck and he said, "Hey, we finally have enough money that we can go through the adoption process, so I can change your name."
Yeah.
And he's like, "How would you feel about that?" And, first of all, I knew that they didn't have the money. They just refinanced their house yet again to get, some home equity out of it for some other stuff. And so so I knew they didn't have it financially, but I also it wasn't going to make a difference for me. And so I told him, I said, what's it going to do? Change my name? It's not going to change anything. You're my dad, and we don't need to spend that money, and it's not going to do anything more than just change a name on a document. And we don't need to go through that whole ordeal.
Yeah.
So.
Man. Yeah. It's funny. You're making me think about my own dad, and what the generations before had to carry. And what could be learned from that? Because my dad also has always just had a crazy work ethic. That brother knows how. He's still, what is he, 78, 79 years? No, he's in his 80s. And his brother's still driving a forklift for the post office.
Wow. Yeah.
I asked my dad one time. I'll never forget this. I was like, because my dad, he's kind of a humble dude. Um, and and I said, Dad, how good are you at driving that forklift? You've been driving that forklift for what, 40 years? How good are you at driving that forklift? And he looks at me like real serious. And he's like, I'm the best.
That's so great.
And I was like, man, I felt like I could go see him just like pop wheelies in his,
Yes.
in that forklift or whatever he does, rolling
Oh
around.
my
Oh
goodness.
man, but
So great.
but
So great.
but part of the reason I'm able to give my kids a different life, right? Because
Right.
I didn't get to see, I got to see my dad some, but he worked. He worked a lot, and a lot of his work hours were offset from my school hours or whatever.
Sure.
And so,
Right.
it was only like weekends, and even then he worked on Saturdays. So Sunday was the
Yep.
main day that I got to see him. But I'm over here, and I get to be far more present for my kids than my dad was able to be for me. But part of that
Yep.
is because of what he had to do, right? The work that
Yep.
he had to put in.
Yep.
To raise me and make sure I was fed and that I had food in my mouth and all those things. So
Yeah.
it just makes me grateful for the dads and,
Yes.
and obviously the parents, the moms. Like you cannot, you can't forget what the mamas were doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is astounding when you think about it. I mean, I don't put a lot of thought and energy to it, and shame on me for that. But there are things that I look back on life that I enjoy today that I can point to specifically because my parents. I mean, I'm a musician as well, and have spent many years working in local churches, leading worship and things of that nature. And that gifting and that skill set was born out of my room, which was right next to my parents' room growing up. And my time of practice, I was a night owl, and so my time of practicing music and my own little personal worship that would turn into little personal worship moments for
Yeah.
me were like 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I would just be singing out, playing my guitar with no consideration for anybody else in the house, which is crazy. But not once did my parents ever come and knock on my door and go, "Hey, dude, it's bedtime.
Yeah.
Hey, we're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
We need you to not." Like that was something that they never ever did. They never stifled anything around like our own creativity, our own goals, hopes, dreams. I mean, they were, and even at if it came to their own expense. I mean, you got to imagine a man who's working 6+ days a week, 13, 14 hours a day. That man would certainly need some sleep. But
Yeah.
at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, his son is in the room right next to him, just blasting on his guitar,
Yeah.
and that he never said a word,
That's crazy,
never said a word,
man.
and because of that, I got really good at his skill,
Yeah.
and I had moments in my room that made me go, I think I might want to do this on a corporate like scale
Yeah.
potentially, you
Yeah.
know. And that led me to go doing that in churches for so long. And so, yeah, man,
Yeah.
our parents are,
Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What did they know? Like, because I'm thinking about as a parent, how easy it would be to just get up, stumble out of my room. I mean, I could picture myself doing this. I'm stumbling out of my room, knocking on the door, like, "Hey, bro, I'm working 13
yeah,
hours a day."
yeah.
Like, did they ever tell you why they didn't intervene? Did you ever?
No, they not once have we even had a conversation about it. But I know them well enough to know, like, it's just what you loved,
Yeah.
and so we loved it.
Yeah.
Like we love what you love, right? I mean, it's just. I think it probably would have been a little different if it was like I was practicing like the things that they really didn't like, like,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
dad does not like heavy metal
Right.
distortion
Right.
type, like
Right. Right. Right.
so
Right.
he was not a fan of that. But I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's something a little different when you've got your kids who are just trying to become maybe better worshipers.
Yeah, dude.
Probably a little bit of a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
scenario maybe, but
Yeah.
I think just even, I mean, that's on the faith level, but I just think on the, like, on a higher level, like broader perspective, um my parents also came from very legalistic households themselves, and so I
Mm-hmm.
think that in their minds they were trying to be less like their own experiences growing up,
Yep. Yep.
right? Like we're
Yep.
always trying to give our kids something different than what we had, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think maybe my parents were in that space too. So,
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, we spent a good chunk talking about your parents, but it's been actually encouraging and a blessing to me, and I think for other people to hear, because there are some really cool things to learn, like just the basic principle of trying to fan the flames of your kids' gifts and passions in the Lord.
right.
Yeah. And trying not only trying not to get in the way of that, right? Like two things we don't want to get in the way of. One, just their intimacy with Christ,
That's
right?
right.
We don't want to get in the way of that. And
That's right.
and number two, just being who God created them to be, right? With their unique gifts and passions. We don't want to get in the way. And not only do we not want to get in the way of that, we want to fan those flames as high as we can, right?
Yes.
Like be radically for them
That's right.
in the expert in their intimacy with God and the expression of their gifts,
That's right. That's right.
which I definitely try to do as a dad. But it is remarkable to me because that generation before us, man, they just weren't quite as equipped
That's right.
to think
Yeah.
this way. And so it is
Right.
remarkable to me that your parents were able to be like, just let him worship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how long is he gonna be doing it though? I don't know. He's with Jesus though.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, well, plus my dad could sleep just about through anything. So, I mean, when you got six
Yeah.
daughters,
Yeah.
you're raising up six daughters. That house was loud. So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So then, how would you articulate like all this stuff that we talked about your passion, we've talked about your origin story and upbringing, and now let's talk a little bit about your calling. So how has that shaped what you would describe as your calling?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think again, I'll just go back to, if I think about that origin story a little bit and just what we've talked about with my parents. I mean, what they did is they created an environment where
Mm,
some of these things could just, whatever God had put inside of me, it could just come out, right?
yeah.
And then, once it can come out, that's to your point, like that's when we can fan it into flame. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I think, for me, what it did is it made me really passionate about it, creating environments for people. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I didn't even know that this was actually happening within me. But when you look back over life, you start to see like some of the dots that connect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I find it so funny today that I'm in a job where it is our role and responsibility to create environments where people can come and do their best work and be the best versions of themselves, for their company and
Right.
whatever culture they're a part of, right?
In terms of
I think that is,
interior design and commercial spaces, right? That's what you're talking about, like
yes,
your
yep,
overall context of your
that
job. Yeah.
that's exactly right. Like
Yeah.
our day to day. So we design workplace environments, and then we install the furniture. We help procure and install the furniture. We service the furniture, right? But all that is a means to the end of being able to, create these environments where these people, every company, their people can come in and do their best work and be the best versions of themselves. And I think, space and environment in general, it's all just a tool,
Yeah.
but it's a tool to unlock, in my personal opinion, like unlock potential in people,
Yeah.
right? Like if I can create a space where, you can come in and your guards can, be let down a little bit, maybe a little bit. Maybe I feel safe enough to be a little vulnerable. Maybe it's a space that inspires collaboration, creativity, it inspires these things that are in me that just, that are just finding, like, work, trying to find a way and a place to come out of me, right? Like that's like the kind of the dream for us,
Yeah.
is to create those types of environments. And so I just think that it's crazy that I get to do that today, because
Yeah.
I'll go all the way back to the beginning. Environment has always been, like, it's super important for me. Like,
Yeah.
growing up, again, oldest of 9 kids, my brothers and I used to share a room, and I'm a little OCD. Or those that know me probably know, like, I'm a lot OCD, kind of a neat freak, kind of a clean freak. And so,
Yeah.
I was always about the environment, and like what everything has a place and everything in its place. And my brothers were not, and are still
Yeah.
not to this day. And so, I remember when I got my own first room, my own room, and it was the day that I would, like, beat the snot out of my brothers because they took something off the shelf and didn't put it back.
Yeah.
And after they were done with it, my mom called my dad up and was like, "We got to get Jeff his own room," and they made it happen in this
Yeah.
small house.
Yeah.
But it was just like my environment, like for me, like, I needed that my environment's got to be a certain way for me to be able to feel wherever whatever I need to feel in the moment, wherever I'm at, right? So, like, some people can work from home very easily. I cannot work from home very easily. I can, and I have the flexibility if I need that. But
Hmm.
quite frankly, my home triggers a different Jeff.
Yeah.
Like, it just ignites a different Jeff than my office does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so my mind just goes to different things, right? But because I'm all about environment in the worship world too, in all my training around worship, the training is really like, how do we create an environment where people
Yeah.
can enter in, right? Like, that's the work.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
job. It's not like, can you play an instrument and can you sing a song? That is not leading worship. Leading worship is part of leading worship is creating an environment where people can come in and enter into the throne room and sit down at the table and have a feast with the Lord.
Yeah, man.
And so, for me, like, if I look at all of these different, and then for 11 years, I worked for a large global nonprofit, and I worked in their facilities department.
Hmm.
And I worked my way up. I started as an on-call employee at the lowest level, and I worked my way up. My last 4 years there, I was in charge of it all. I had 35 people underneath me, led 9 different teams, and our job was to create an environment where, and the mission of the organization was releasing children from poverty in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
And I loved this department, because not only was it our job to create an environment where that could actually take place,
Yeah.
but my job got to be about helping our team members understand the important value that they bring to that mission. Because if you're just like, if you're facilities technician, you can think of your job in 2 different ways. My job is just to turn the lights on, set the temperature, set the room up, and just get out of the way. And that's
Yep.
it. Plunge the
Yep.
toilets, do all the thing, like, whatever. But everybody else gets to do the job gets to actually do the mission. And I'm just like, I just, like, make sure the building works, right?
Yeah.
That's one way to view it.
Yeah.
The other way that you can view it is, I'm a mission enabler.
Yeah.
And I create the environment where that type of work can actually take place. And if I set the room right, and if I set the building, and the building's operating well, and all the things that I am over, if all that's taken care of really, really well, then everybody else can focus on their part of the mission. And together we're all doing this work, right? This missional work. And so I love, like, creating an environment for where the important thing can get done. But a part of that creating the environment is also helping instill value into every role that plays a part in creating that environment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I see you, bro. Yes.
Like, I think I'll take this to, like, as a worship leader even. I can view my job as a worship leader in a couple different ways, right? I can get up on the platform and I can be like, I'm the worship leader. look at me play the guitar, look at me worship, do as I do, and you're, great. And I've got all these people backing me up. I've got backup vocalists. I've got an electric guitar player, drummer, bass player, whatever, right? And their job is to help me lead, put me in a position for me to be the worship leader. That's like one way. I think it's a really short-sighted view of my role as a worship leader.
Yeah.
The other way that I can see it is my job is to train up other worship leaders to be worship leaders so that all of us on the platform can be worship leaders and create an environment. Yeah. Because you could come in on a Sunday morning and you might not, I might not be your fancy, but for some reason you're looking at that keys player over there and she's in it. Yeah. And she's going after it. And I know that person. I know that person's story. And I know what that person's going through. And if they can get there too, then that means I can get there with what I'm walking through too, right? And so I'm just it's a force multiplier when I make my role and my responsibility about helping other people do the same thing. Like we can just go together and do it, and we just have so much of a greater impact and influence if we do that. So that's a lot and a long way to answer that question, but
it's a lot.
But yeah.
Well, you're very dialed in though. Like even as you're telling the story, there's a lot of consistency to the narrative of what you're telling, right? Like
that's the cool thing. I think that's
really
because I would have never planned that.
Yeah.
Right. But I go back and I look over these different things in life and I go, oh man, this is what God has naturally been doing all the way along the way. And then it's kind of hard for me not to be passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And you're able to bring that into whatever environment, right? Like, it's funny because God writes these stories we never could have written, right? So you're facilities management. Okay. And what? And now you're, VP of a sales team for commercial furniture, interior design. What?
Right.
But the heart, or what makes you excellent at what you do, gets to be expressed and dispersed in each of these different places, because it's the passion that's getting leveraged, right?
That's right.
And it's that passion for environments, right? And that passion for service.
Yes.
That passion for empowering people. I hear that too, right? As a part of this.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I might articulate your superpower as something like this, and I don't know if it's exact, but I'm gonna throw this out there, and then I don't know if you find it to be useful, then you might take it and wordsmith it a little bit. But I create environments that empower people to thrive.
I love that.
Because I was trying to capture both the fact that you're talking about physical environments, but then that last thing you said is instilling value into every role. So it's not just the physical environment, it's people as instrumental to those environments. And you want to unlock the potential of every person so that both the environment and the people in the environment are working together to create something greater than the sum of its parts, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, I think that's the crazy and the cool thing about environments, which I really love, is that an environment, what makes an environment is, it's the old, just the noun, people, places, and things, right? That's what makes the environment, right? But you pull out any one of those things and it's no longer this, the whole, right? Wherever, here's what's cool about environments is you ascribe value to an environment by choosing to be there. Wherever I'm choosing to be at that moment, I'm ascribing a certain level of value to that environment. Yeah. And that's not just to the space, but it's to the people, and it's to the things, and it's to what we're there to do, right? And so all of it comes together for the whole, and any one piece removed all of a sudden lessens the environment and lessens the opportunities for impact and influence.
I hear it, man. And another word that came to mind was symphony, right? You're creating a symphony of some sort, right? But it's a symphony both of environment and of people, right? So you create symphonies of people, symphonies of places, symphonies of things, cause those things to work together to create thriving or to create a feeling. Yeah. So anyway, I do think one of my things is I want to help people articulate their superpower in one sentence, because when you can articulate your superpower in one sentence, it's a lever you can start to pull over and over again. Right. And you get more reps. And then that's where it starts to look like genius and magic, is when you know it. And now you've been pulling it for so long that it's like, how does he even do that?
Yeah.
Right.
So good. Yeah.
That's
I love
yours.
That.
This is
I
yours.
Love that. I love it. Thank you.
Definitely your lever to pull. Like, I love it. There's only one other person that I've talked to that sounds anything like you. Her name is Courtney Hewitt. Courtney, shout out to Courtney Hewitt if you're listening. She is a genius level event planner.
Wow. Okay.
Like C-level event planner, right?
Yeah.
And when she talks about putting these events together, she lights up, dude. She lights up, and she just loves it. She absolutely loves it. I've interviewed her on the show. I'm going to send you her link.
Yeah, please
but
do.
I think you will really resonate with the way that she's also creating symphony. She sees an event as a symphony, and she's used that similar language that every piece matters. If you're going to create something luxurious and excellent, every piece matters.
Yes.
You're not just trying to get the MVP, right? For anybody who doesn't know, that minimum viable product, which is a lot how business owners and entrepreneurs think, like, well, let me get the minimum viable product out there and then we'll test it and then we'll improve. And that's a good way to do things. But you're not after the MVP. You're after, like, I want to create excellence.
That's right.
Right?
That's
True
right.
excellence. Dude.
That's right. So good.
That's a pretty cool superpower, man. So my next question for you is, can you share a piece of wisdom that like everybody has something that they know deep in their guts, right? Something that they had to learn through experience, sometimes through painful experience. What's that wisdom or that conviction that you have that follows you into every room that you go into?
I don't want to answer this question in any way that makes me come off like I know it.
Okay.
So I'll say, like, as a caveat, that I have been in the process of learning this.
You're a learner,
and I'm still in the process of learning this. But the thing that comes to my mind for me is learning how to enter into a space or into any situation with curiosity. And I'll talk about this, like, from the faith perspective first. I do think, because I did grow up in a little bit more of a legalistic environment, small Midwest church, and so, you kind of know what comes with that. And
certainty is what comes with that.
Yeah, and which is great in so many ways, in so many facets. But then there's also this that gave me, because I tend to be a little bit more, I'm a very confident individual. And some of that kind of comes off, it can come off sometimes like arrogance and pride. Yep. And so I got to watch it, right? I got to be really careful with it. But when you're growing up in that world where it's just so, like, there's a lot of certainty and, like, this is the way it is. And I was taught a lot of, like, do's and don'ts. And, like, these are the rules of scripture and these are the rules of the faith. And I'm grateful for those. But I do think that for the longest time, it made me very closed off to even this idea of service, and on a more of a macro scale. Like, on a micro scale, it was, like, very, very clear, like, this is what service looks like. But on the macro, like, just the idea of being able to see people on the margins, or even being able to see people where they're at, and know that I don't know it all, but I want, like, and they don't know it all, and there's opportunity for us to go at it together and to learn something together. Like, those are things that I really I didn't have gifts, and I'll say, like, I didn't have tools for until probably about 6 to 7, maybe 8 years ago. Yeah. And as I've opened myself up to, like, maybe this idea that, like, maybe I don't know, like, all of scripture. Maybe I don't. maybe I don't know like all of what was going on in that moment, in that
Yeah,
time in
yeah, yeah.
scripture. And if I just ask some questions and I could do a little digging and get a little context, and then like my whole world and my whole, like my faith is like opened up to even like greater levels, right? And
Yes.
so that's like on the faith side. And then I think, learning how to work with people who have different values and principles, belief systems, ideals from, than I do. It's a big world.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's a small world. And so I don't want to be closed off
Yeah.
to the potential of like me growing. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe the more that I'm open to growing, other people can be open to growing and getting better too. And we can go at this together. And so this idea of curiosity is just like, how do I go in not making any assumptions
Yeah.
and being open to maybe learning something new
Mm-hmm.
and maybe
Mm-hmm.
growing just a little bit and maybe stretching myself and my mindset and my ideals and my values. Not my values, actually. I think values should always stay the same. I think we should have our value set and they should, integrity is my number one. I don't ever want that to be,
Right.
question or challenge. I mean, it's going to be question or challenge, but it's not changing for me. But certainly how I get to where I get some of this, right? Like curiosity is something that has been a wisdom that I've
Hmm.
been challenged with and am learning,
Yeah.
particularly in the leadership world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man. No, that's a good word. That's such a good word. A last question for you as we head to the conclusion of our time together.
yeah.
Where are you going? Where are you headed? What's the dream? What's the goal?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I don't have a great answer for it outside of like, I'm very passionate, about where I'm at, like right now and
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing right now. I've got a couple different, arenas that I'm thinking about, right? So, work in particular, like I'm a VP of a sales team. I've got 9 sellers underneath me, and they're incredible, and in their own rights, like they're just phenomenal sellers. But not but and I'm trying to get this more cohesive, collaborative sales organization that
Yep.
operates together and that isn't just, I'd love to not just have a sales organization where everybody else in the company is a means to their end,
Yeah.
but like, right, like a sales organization that actually drives value to the operational side of the business and
Yeah.
understand, that to me is maybe a differentiator in the sales world.
Yeah.
And so, that's some work that I'm doing right now, is on the sales team, like trying to just grow that team and their, not just their sales skill sets, but like their ability to lead people and lead outcomes and provide experiences both internally and externally from a customer service perspective. And so that's like super important to me. And I see like 3 to 4 years down the road that, our differentiator in the marketplace is how our sales team operates, and that our entire company, the sales side and the ops side, that we're all just like one cohesive, unit moving forward together. That is a dream for me right now.
Wow.
Is that. And then I
Yep.
think, there's this other side of the fence that I would also say, I'm very passionate about, like men and just, men in vulnerability,
Yep.
and
Yep.
the power that comes when you choose to dig in and lean in and just be vulnerable about where you're at, what you're struggling with right now, and then you lock arms and we go together. And so, I'm doing some personal work around that.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, my dream is I've got 4 kids. And they've got to make choices and decisions for themselves and their own faith and their own journeys. But man, my wife and I have a dream, together, that we've got 4 kids that are just faith powerhouses in the
Yep.
world.
Yep.
And I believe that God's doing a work there, and I just want to
Yep.
continue to be a conduit for that. So
Amen. Amen. All and coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, all of those things have to do with creating environments.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Man, very cool. You seem to be very dialed into your calling.
Well, I appreciate you. I mean, I think, these are not questions that I get asked on a regular basis. So I think you did a phenomenal job of drawing it out of me. I mean, as I'm sitting here just like chewing, I sat down to like think through some of these questions, just a little bit ago going, I don't know how to answer this, but I appreciate you giving me some things to chew on today that as you draw out, Proverbs talks about this idea of there are deep wells within each and every single one of us, and the purpose of a man is to draw them out. And John, you've done that for me this morning, so thank you.
Oh, appreciate that, brother. Yeah, you've given me some good things to think about. The idea of sales as service. I wrote that early. I wrote that note in the interview early. Sales as service. Like, that's a profound way to look at sales, because most people don't look at sales that way.
That's right.
Right. We see a lot of us, even good salespeople, still there's an element of sales that's like, yeah, I'm doing this to put food on my table.
That's right.
I hope it's best for you, but I still need that check.
That's right.
As opposed to like, no, there is a way you could sell where it's actually like, I would actually tell you not to buy my product if I don't think my product is what's best for you, because I see my role is to serve you.
That's right.
Authentically and actually.
That's right. 100%.
Right? Yes. And that's what I see in you. That's what I see in you.
It's actually some of my favorite conversations with customers is, we've all got great things to sell and put out, but I love being able to sit down with the customer and go, hey, I'm not sure I'm your fit. I mean, there have been times where I've said, hey, you need to go to my competitor and here's why.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that just builds trust, right?
Like, for real.
I think that's what the world needs more of, is people who are trustworthy people. Yeah. And I think in that way we shine the light out into the darkness more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a lot we could talk about there too, but we're gonna run over on time. So but I love what you're doing in the world. I love the way that you're doing. I love the way that you're thinking about it. I love the image of God inside of you, man. And I got to draw out that and see that, and I think draw it out for other people to see. And so I'm really grateful that you sat down with me, Jeffrey, and thanks for being with me.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate you.
And for everybody that has been here up to this point, thank you for hanging out till the end and getting to know Jeffrey. And as always, I'm trying to facilitate collaboration. So if you got a way that you can help Jeffrey or a way that Jeffrey can help you, give me a shout and then I'll make the connection. So anyway, I'll continue to bring you inspiring people and draw out the image of God in these people. And we can just rejoice in the incredible gifts that God has poured out on us in the kingdom. And so I'll see you next time. Until then, take it easy.